We take for granted just how important water is to our life. Fresh water is a luxury that we don't think twice about. Here on the little island of Gonave, Haiti, life isn't so simple. Here, only a quarter of families have unpolluted water to drink. Disease is rampant. As many as 1 in 5 children will die before their 5th birthday. While death is an inevitability for all of us, here on Gonave, it is an ever-present reality. A child born here is born into adversity, born into constant struggle, born into a fight to simply survive.
I've been asked several times would I go back. I'd leave in the morning if I could go back.
I met Wes out at his ranch in Oklahoma a couple of weeks before I would head to Gonave. He had just returned from drilling there.
The people of Gonave, they're clean people. They like taking baths every day just like we do. They like wearing clean clothes. It's just they don't have the water, the thing that we take for granted every day.
The first trip that I made to Gonave, Haiti was 10 years ago. And we didn't have any idea what we were getting into. You knew you were on planet Earth, but you just couldn't comprehend how people could exist like this. And we got into Port-au-Prince. We chartered a little single-engine Cessna that we flew to the island on. They landed on the beach, and the pilot said, "When do you want me to pick you up?" We said, "Hey, pick us up in a week." And here we are on this island where there are no municipalities, there's really no formal operating government. That first trip was a challenge, but the trips today are much better. Yeah, Kerry Carlisle and a couple of other guys, he's bringing a team down on Friday, so I think you all see him on Saturday morning. He spends the night in Port-au-Prince. We had 2 days where we drilled in the rain, but other than that, we've been rolling. We're up in the mountainous area now. We got one in Cherishab. The pump is already installed. We drilled up in Zabrigo, up in the mountains where the soccer field is. We drilled 4, I believe, in Zabrigo. We went to Terrasset. We drilled 5 there and came up with 2 with fresh water. We've drilled about 14 or 15 wells so far in the last 2 weeks. I mean, we're rolling. And I'd say about half of those are fresh water. We're right at 50 wells for the 4 years that we've been drilling. So we're about halfway to our goal.
Carrie, Lonnie, and I would fly into Gonave where they would be drilling for a week. Each week, a new 2-man team would fly in to work on the drilling crew at their own expense. I would be staying for a month to document the progress of the drilling project. It was a scary adventure heading off to a little island for a month. I'd left my pregnant wife back at home in the States, and I didn't know how much I'd be able to communicate with her. I was nervous about the risks and challenges I was about to face, but I knew the work that was being done was important, and the story of the island and the drillers needed to be told. When you touch down in Gonave, it's a dirt runway. The man who tends to the tiny landing strip has to chase the cows away before the planes can land.
I first came here in June of 2008, and it was amazing. And you feel like you understand what it's going to be like. You kind of have a clue coming in, but really you don't. I mean, until you're here and you smell the smells and you see the things that we see, that you really don't have any idea what it's like. Well, I mean, you come down here with a mission. I mean, and the mission obviously is to punch holes in this island and get the people fresh water. From as early as you can get up in the morning and get to the job site until as late as you can work in the evening, just work. And there's nothing else to do really. So I mean, it's great in that you get a lot done. We're not on a sightseeing mission. I mean, we're here to get the job done. It's not about us, it's about these kids and these villages not having any fresh water, and so it's our job to get it to them. It's pretty simple. I mean, you come down here to drill holes, nothing else to do.
Drilling itself is quite dangerous. From climbing 30 or 40 feet up the mast to release the drill head, to the fact that the side of the truck where all the drill pipe is stored is blind to the driller. And anytime he's moving a pipe, he can move it a foot in the wrong direction, pull a lever and release something and crush somebody that he can't even see on the other side. Any mistake could be fatal.
We can't have local helpers because it's so dangerous around the equipment. Unless they understand what they're doing, somebody could get seriously hurt if you have them as a helper. So we have to have trained helpers. So we get in that spot where we want the community to participate, but the best way they can participate, they've got to stand back at least 30 feet so if something falls, they won't get hurt.
Safety is a big concern. I mean, we're all submitted to Kurt King, and what he says we do is what we do, and what he tells us not to do, we don't. I mean, because there is no St. John's or Life Flight or anything like that. If you hurt yourself, you're just hurt. If you lose your hand, it's just gone. We do as much work as we can do safely in a day, and keep it that way. Keep everybody coming here, working hard, and getting to go home to their families.
Injuries at the job site aren't the only risks the drillers face.
We rode motorcycles all over the island to try to investigate different towns, different locations, the road conditions, plan the routing, and record GPS coordinates so that we could find the locations. Unfortunately, on the second day that we're there, I got very sick. Some type of malaria, 104 fever, fluids coming out of both ends, and I'm delirious. And as bad as I felt, there was no way that I could, quote, take a day off. We rode 60 or 70 miles all over the island in a 12-hour period. We had 3 motorcycle accidents during that time. I crashed 3 times, and one time Kurt was behind me and ran into me. But you just get up and try to straighten the handlebars and keep going. But you have to be prepared and understand that those types of things are going to happen to you, that it's not about comfort and convenience. It's really just about getting the job done.
They didn't hit water here at the first site.
The rig was designed to drill to 1,500 feet, but in developing countries, we put hand pumps in, and there's not a good hand pump that'll pump below 300 feet. Therefore, we drill to a maximum of 300 feet, because if we were to get water at 500 feet and the community had no way to get it out, there would be no point in drilling that well.
If we drill 300 feet and have no water, that's it. We have to pack up and move on.
Work days start early on Gonave. The guys get up at sunrise, grab a quick breakfast, and get ready to head out for an all-day trip.
Lonnie, you gonna lock up,
Yes.
please? You guys have earplugs? Everybody grab earplugs?
So in one form or another, you have to have good organizational skills, because you have to have a certain number of tools at the rig to start with in the day, and things that you might need throughout the day. So before you ever leave in the morning, you have to be organized enough to think through what you'll need the whole day, because a lot of the sites we drill at are 2 or 3 hours drive from the shop.
You quickly find that everything is a challenge on Gonave. Extra diesel fuel for the rig comes in a 50-gallon drum. What should be a simple procedure becomes an ordeal, as the drum is too slippery for the guys to lift into the back of the water truck. They try a hand pump, but find that there is a problem with that as well.
I use it to control levers. Works really well.
Down here, 450 is like 9,000 pounds.
They disassemble the pump and find a large chunk of plastic that got caught inside. To me, that says a lot about the quality of diesel they are getting on the island. Now that it's working, they start the long chore of pumping the fuel by hand into another drum that is already in the back of the truck. Little delays like this are constant. To the drillers, it may be just a minor inconvenience, but in reality, it is an hour lost that they could be drilling. Then comes the long, painful drive to the drill site. The roads are so bad here, the truck is only able to drive at an average speed of 2.5 miles per hour.
Nuts. This is Kurt's corner of the goal. No,
This is the worst corner. About 4, 5, 6 miles from here. No, not that far. Maybe 4 miles from here. Up from the coast, maybe half, 3/4 of a mile. There's a hillside and there's a cave that's full of bats and birds. And in the bottom of the cave, there's water that seeps in. And 30 years ago, when I drilled here, the people were getting water out of that cave to drink. And I was shocked when I came back. This year I went to the Bat Cave and people were taking water out of the cave to drink. And it's disgusting. It smells bad, and along with the water that's in the bottom, they shovel up all the bird dew and bat dew and sell it for fertilizer right beside where the water is that they drink.
Kids and people going in there every day is that's their source, their daily source for water. And that's the choice that they have to make, is either I can, die from lack of water, or I can die from drinking this, or maybe I can get through just another day.
30 years ago, when we saw the problem, we went out and drilled a well there, and we set up a program of pump maintenance and community effort and all of the things that you're supposed to do in the development world to make this work and be sustainable over a long period of time. I don't know why, but over the years, the whole system fell apart, and eventually, it appears to me, eventually the pump quit working. Maybe somebody came and took the pump out to say they were going to go to town and fix it. And then somebody came along, and maybe kids playing, I don't know what, but it got filled with rocks. And so we went in and drilled a well, and 40 feet we had fresh water and put in a pump, and it was amazing. 40 feet was all it took. Now there was some hard rock, so they would have been almost impossible to dig a well there. But 40 feet, and they had water, and it took us maybe 3 hours to drill it, and that's all. And now they have fresh water there, just like that. changes the whole community. Hard to explain. The roads are so terrible, it's a huge strain on the axles and the frames and universal joints. We just recently broke a universal joint on the truck, just from the roads.
That's why you want that drill pipe as far forward as you can get it. Because I do not want to have to try and pick those up and get them back in that rack on the side of the road. Can you imagine?
That's just a bad thought.
You get that thing on some angles like that, and all that drill pipe on that side. It's very top heavy.
It can sometimes become very challenging to figure out where to drill a well. On Gonave, in my mind, basically you can't pick the wrong spot because everybody is so needy for water here. But personalities get involved, politics get involved, people get territorial about where they want us to work and where they don't want us to work and where they want to work. I have no way of knowing or predicting where water is. I just drill the hole, and if God puts the water there, great. And if he doesn't, we move to the next spot.
We work very hard to plan strategically the location and the prioritization of wells based on the need, the distance that they have to travel to get water, the population density, the access that we have by roads, and certainly we have to plan the locations A, B, C, D, E, and F so that we can minimize the damage to the equipment just from transport.
This would be their first try for water in the village of Plaisance. Due to time and budget restraints, they could only make 3 attempts in each community before they had to move on.
Éternel, Dieu toi fois saint, Dieu de bonté, Dieu de misère, quand on parle qui dans le ciel là. Il y a un bon accueil, il y a une protection et respect mutuel. Ça va bon, nous va content, nous va réjouir. Bénis-nous et accepte-nous. Conduis-nous, au nom du Père, au nom du Fils.
Kurt got a handheld GPS unit for this trip that allowed him to precisely plot every site they would drill at.
There's a lot of different ways to drill a well. The way we use on Gonave is an air rotary, which basically there's a bit that rotates in the ground and air blows down through the center of the bit, and the air blows the rocks and dirt out as we break it up with the bit. It blows it out of the ground. A lot of times the first about 100 feet of hole is a soft, almost like blackboard chalk. Then when I get to about 100 feet, in certain areas that chalk will be mixed with clay. And so as you get deeper, sometimes the air in our rig, the air compressor is small enough that there's not sufficient air to blow out the air by itself. Sometimes adding water will effectively increase the velocity of the cuttings coming out of the hole. And so they come out more cleanly and more quickly. I would say on average here it takes about 500 gallons of water to drill a 300-foot hole. I think yesterday's well took 600 gallons to drill the last 100 feet. So it does vary a lot, but you have to have a lot of water available and able to do it efficiently.
Getting that water to the drill site can be a real challenge. In past years, they had to use an old, worn-out truck that was barely strong enough to carry a small water tank up the mountain. They would spend a considerable amount of time running back and forth, getting water to haul up to the site so they could continue drilling. This year, the guys were very fortunate to be able to use a powerful new truck, which could carry almost 1,000 gallons of water up the mountain to the drill site. This freed up countless precious hours they could use to spend drilling instead of traveling to get more water.
I like it. They think it's funny.
Breakdowns are inevitable and frequent.
Hammer. Hey.
I thought like a ratchet from there,
Other than that, normal wear and tear, drilling machines are typically designed to tear themselves apart just because of the nature of their usage. So there's always chains that break, and then when a chain breaks, it will hit something else and break off a hydraulic hose, and then that breaks something on the way down. So if you have one breakdown, it often, before you even get the engine shut off, you have 2 or 3 more things are broken. That's very common to have happen.
There's always a crowd watching. They'd work as late as they could, then leave the rig to sit overnight under the watchful eye of the villagers, and come back to start again the next morning.
You try to hold your composure because everything you see is really so traumatic. But I couldn't. And I remember just being on, that mountain and just crying. There's Haitians that are so thirsty, they're praying for water.
We met a woman a couple of days ago that said she walked between 40 minutes and an hour each way to get a couple of gallons of water to haul back to her family.
And I just started thinking about how many days and how many hours and hours and hours and hours she had walked, as all of her little kids were around her, praying, God, send water, And
we're just spoiled. We turn on the faucet and there it is.
Draw the picture in your mind, living without water, how impossible it is. Honestly, just like the average person, they have to work a long way, like we can say 7 or 8 miles by foot to get water.
The conditions that people exist in, I won't even call it that they live in, but the conditions that people exist in stick huts that are like a large doghouse, a single room with a dirt floor, 2 or 3 rooms. Use the bathroom outside. Hike a couple of hours one way for water. Kids not in school because their parents are making them hike to get water and spend a half a day every day doing that. You have cesspools that goats are urinating in, and kids are getting water out of it.
Day 2, up at the first plaisance site.
Ma suiv li jouk sa kaba. Asi se nou proteje nou pendant toute journée ça. Et protéger vraiment machine nan. Pas quitter aucune pièce endommagée là-dedans. Comme ça, on va continuer à travailler pour le peuple. Assistez nous, nous mettons au nom de Jésus.
While the guys drilled, Kurt's wife Mary and I walked around Plaisance and talked to some of the villagers.
Est-ce que vous avez pourvu? Non. OK. Vous parlez pourvu.
Aujourd'hui, nous sommes capables de passer 10 gallons, nous sommes capables d'aller pour 10 gallons. C'est nous deux calés. Si c'est un seul monde calé, il y a 5 gallons.
Okay. She's working with 10, sometimes a little bit more gallons a day for everything she needs in her house.
Americans use an average of 160 gallons of water a day per person. This family in Gonave is surviving on only 10 for their entire household.
Okay. I was asking her how many people lived in this house, and she said there are a dozen people that live in the house. And I asked her if she'd already gone for water this morning, and she said no, because it rained a little bit last night, so they don't need to. But when they do go, okay, 1 hour over, 1 hour back.
Yeah.
Allez, tourner. Désertant.
Mary and I came across an abnormally nice house. This woman had family in the States that sent her money regularly.
She has running water. She has a big cistern up on top of the roof, and she has a pipe coming down. Without the generator running, she doesn't have water that will pump through there.
Mostly, though, she used her underground cistern that collected rainwater.
Vous lavez Raj chaque jour? No? Chaque 8 jours. 4 buckets to do 8 days worth of wash.
Lonnie had been asking for the last couple of days if there was a donkey he could ride. Mary found a willing donkey.
It was the funniest thing in the world to these guys to see a white guy on a donkey, and they were smiling and they were laughing. And the next day in the village, one of them came up to me and said, "Monte Abui," which is riding a donkey. You know, I think even as serious as things are, it's good to just step back and do something to make people laugh. Monte Abui! Monte Abui!
There's no stores for equipment on Gonave, very few stores. For example, when I have a flat tire, they have a hammer and a big heavy chisel, and that's how they take the tire off of the rim, and then they'll wad up a little tiny piece of rubber vulcanizing, a tiny little piece, and spread it across the patch, and then they'll vulcanize it on by burning it on. And it's a terrible way to patch a tire, but that's the way it's done here. That's what we have to do it. It's very common to have 1, 2, 3 flat tires a week. Not uncommon to have 2 or 3 flat tires a day.
Kurt inspects the exhaust. The rig is having some serious problems with the way it is running, and he is trying to determine what all he can fix out here in the field without having to bring the rig all the way back to the shop. On the way home that evening, it started raining.
Well, you're kind of at the mercy of the weather. I mean, the roads are just unbelievably difficult. You spend the first 2 to 3 hours of your day trying to get up the side of a mountain that, honestly, there's no way we should be able to get the rig up there. Even the water truck really shouldn't make it up these hills, and yet somehow it does.
See that little donkey down there? You don't want to hurt that donkey.
It's around the corner. There's enough gravel. If I slide, the gravel should stop me before I go over the side. The last time we came down the mountain in the rain, part of it was like a bobsled run. And I said, no more, we can't take those chances.
We literally slid down some of the rocks, and Kurt says there's no way. I mean, there's no way we're going to try and make it back up there. And after 2 days of rain, we couldn't get there anyway. But it's tough. I mean, we want to drill wells and we want to get water, but the logistics are that you can't even get there. So even if we made an attempt, it wouldn't be a safe attempt.
You know, growing up, you see this stuff on TV. And, I mean, I did. You know, that they have to, walk, an estimated about 2 to 2.5 hours minimum to get water. And I remember hearing it just all my life. I'd see the commercials on TV, hear it. And the first time I was here and made that ride, it just was thinking, wow, I couldn't imagine walking that every day. And you go back to the States and you try to communicate it. And it's one of those things that you can't really communicate. You gotta live it.
One of the ladies I talked to today used the word misery a couple of times about the misery that they live in because their life is so hard trying to find water. But she talked about the misery it causes having to go so far to get water and haul it back. And how when you spend so much time, kind of like us commuting, when you have to spend so much time on the road going to get that, it takes away from time at home to do other things. And so she conserves her time and her water by taking the kids when she can to bathe them at the source that she's walking to for an hour, 40 minutes to an hour. And then she takes a little bit of clothes with her and tries to do the wash there and then come back. All the things that she can do to conserve, so when she gets back with that bucket of water, and if she has little kids to take with her, their little gallon or whatever they're carrying, that they can use it for other things like cooking. Because she said there are times when she's had to come home and there just wasn't enough water left to cook with, so she'd have to go and borrow from somebody else.
I thought today when they came up and you said there was no water, that the 100 people that have been watching us for 2 days would be gone. But they weren't. They all stayed. I mean, they're staying, and I thought about that, yet they still, we still tried. We came and drilled, and we move on to the next place. If you had X amount of dollars to work with, how would you get the most bang? If I said, here's $5 million or $500,000 or whatever, how could you get the most bang for your buck?
I get better equipment, more suited to the island, and then I get a cat to get around with and hire somebody who knew how to build at least rudimentary roads to get where we want to get to.
I mean, even with the equipment that we had, if we had roads to get there, it would be a completely different ballgame.
I mean, can you imagine if we left early in the morning and actually worked longer in the day because we didn't have to worry about a breakdown on the slippery rock road on the way home?
You leave the equipment where it's at and bring a truck home, and we're back here in 30 minutes.
I mean, we could put in, just in the summertime, hundreds of extra hours.
Yeah.
Oh, kidding.
Hundreds.
The island's only, 10 miles wide and 30 miles long or something?
Something like that. 12 by 35.
And we can't cover it in a day. I mean, we can't cover...
You can't drive around the island. I mean, you can't anyway, but
yeah,
you can't.
Shovel-ready jobs. That's what we need.
No.
Up in the mountains, it continued raining for a couple of days. The guys were trapped, unable to travel back to the drill site.
Okay, that's crooked. Is that crooked enough? Water champion lost on.
You got it.
We're praying for no rain, and we're having people pray for no rain, and we got 500,000 Haitians believing God that it's going to rain. So I think we're outnumbered, and lo and behold, they've got rain, and we're stuck inside. Kind of frustrating. So we're able to do some maintenance, do some stuff around the compound, but not to be able to get up there and drill wells is very frustrating.
They visited feeding stations where hundreds of children under the age of 6 are fed every day.
I mean, it was heartbreaking to see. We went to feeding station, and you know, you try to feed those kids, you try to keep it together when you see their faces, and you just can't do it. I don't know anybody that can come down here and see those kids and experience that and just not have their heart ripped out. It just changes you. Big tough guys try to feed these kids, and all of us just broke down crying. As you sit there and try to spoon out food to give these kids, for me personally, I just started seeing my own son and just couldn't imagine him carrying around a dog dish every day, wait until 1 o'clock so he could have something to eat. It's just heartbreaking, and we're changing it. I mean, we're seeing no more yellow-headed kids that are starving to death. We're seeing happy, healthier kids that are eating every day, and I mean, it's great to see the changes. We're seeing people that are growing food and making a difference, you know, being able to survive.
3 days ago, it started to be overcast. 2 days ago, it started raining in the hills. So we slid down the hills to get here, and last night it started raining, and it hasn't let up yet. And the forecast is for rain through next Wednesday.
We have spent so much time, energy, and money to order supplies from around the world, have them shipped in, organize Kurt's schedule, our drillers' schedules, and certainly prepare the communities that we were going to drill in. And to have something such as bad weather move in and shut our program down it just is debilitating. 2 or 3 days before it's time for them to go, we get the weather reports and we have to make a decision whether or not we can put a team on the ground. And unfortunately, we couldn't do it. And it's such a disappointment for the men who want to be there and they want to drill, to miss out and have to wait an entire year before they have an opportunity to get back on the ground and get to work.
So, called Eric, and we made the decision to cancel next week's trip. Mary and I are going to Port-au-Prince for a week to work on the equipment on the other side, and we're trying to see if we can get a flight out tomorrow from the island, because MAF may not fly if the weather's too bad on Saturday, which would leave the guts guys stranded here yet another day or two.
Beef bar.
It's unanimous.
Full of baloney, they're full of baloney.
Got bleach in there.
Yeah. Madam Mona sits out here on this rock and cleans all of our nasty clothes for $3 a day, American. $15 a week to do this in the typically 100-degree weather. And we think we've got it rough.
Laundry I have at my house. It's taking me about 20 minutes to get these clean. It would take me probably, if I started now with all the laundry in my closet, about 5 years from now I might be done.
It's pretty darn clean too.
It is.
If you would have seen it before, you would know that that's actually pretty clean. Not bad, if I do say so myself.
Snyder, in the striped shirt, is one of the Haitian crew members. He installs the hand pumps when the drilling is complete.
Ernesto. C'est ta manière pour plaindre. Non, non, non. Non, ça pour plaindre. Non.
They can't take it from the road below it, right? Unless the
No. Pas de faire à faux. Non, c'est faux. Non, on va laisser ça, va laisser tout. On va laisser ça, on va laisser ça, ok. Allez.
You want me to hold it for you?
Or just put your hand on top and take it out.
No.
The next morning, the guys make a quick stop for some last-minute souvenirs before heading to the landing strip. As my American friends all took off in that plane and flew away, I realized that I was all alone here on the island. I'd spend the next 2 weeks living the island lifestyle while I waited for another team to arrive from the States. I'd make new friends, taste new foods, and make memories that will last a lifetime.
I saw the moon go down. I knew my life, it would change.
I started to really get a sense of what it is like to live here in Gonave. I learned to speak some Creole and soaked up as much of the local culture as I could. And I fell in love with the Haitian people. I thought about my American friends in Port-au-Prince and wondered how things were going for them on the mainland. I couldn't stop thinking about the clock ticking away. Each day the crew is away from the island is a day they aren't drilling. The window to drill this year is so very short. And if they don't drill, people will suffer and die without fresh water. I thought many times that I could be perfectly happy raising a family here on this beautiful island, a wonderfully simple life. I know it's difficult for the Haitians to see opportunity when they're struggling with day-to-day survival, but I desperately wanted them to see themselves and their island in the way that I saw them. I wish they could see the potential and opportunity that I could see. I lay awake at night thinking about the drilling project, the future of the island, and how much work it's really going to take to change the path that Gonave is on. It's so much bigger than just drilling wells. I know we don't have all the answers, but we have to be involved and try to address their need in the best way we can. Once the wells are in, though, will the Haitians take advantage of this resource and use it in a productive manner? Will fresh water be enough to provide hope? Will hope be enough to change the mindset of the Haitians living in Gonave? And will a change in their mindset be enough to change the destiny of this island? The mountain roads finally dried out enough that Kurt and Mary were able to come back from Port-au-Prince. I was so excited to see some familiar faces, but I have to admit I was a little sad to be ending this amazing time on the island with my Haitian friends. Overall, though, I was very happy to get back to drilling. It was a relief to find the rig still in one piece after being left unattended at the drill site for almost 2 weeks. Kurt welded the exhaust back together, then checked the valves to see if they were the problem that was causing the rig's engine to run so poorly. Kurt and Ariant then had to pull the 300 feet of drill pipe back out of the ground, one piece at a time.
We drilled 300 feet and got a dry hole, and the rig broke down, so we came out today and welded the rig together and are ready to move to the next site to give this church another chance for water. Well, sometimes you go to drill a well and you get up to the site, there can be a lot of problems you're not even aware of. Well, we went up to the site yesterday expecting it to be, everybody be happy, we're driving up in the site, and we back up and shut the rig off. This guy heaves a big rock at the rig. I mean, big enough it would have knocked somebody out at the least. And it turned out it's a crazy man in the community. And he was fiercely angry that I was there. And so what I did, I looked to see he didn't have a gun, he didn't have a knife, he had his hands out, he didn't have any weapons, and so I just went over and I tried to talk to him, and I could just immediately tell that the poor guy was not right in his mind. And the community was making fun of him, and he was angry at the community for making fun of him. He was mad at me because I don't know what was going on in his head, but he was angry at me, fiercely angry at me. And I just got up close enough to him where I didn't think he could take a swing and hit me too hard because I was so close to him. And I just started talking to him. And he calmed down, and eventually I went and got him some water to drink and some food. And then he demanded money, and I said, no, I don't give you money. And then eventually he walked off. And the whole community was afraid because they thought he was going to come back last night and tear the machinery up. But he didn't. And I don't know, you just... Whatever comes up, you take care of it, you know. I never quite know what I'm getting into, but it's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Okay, now, back to work. Hey!
The earthquake cracked his house. He said it ever since the earthquake, he had major cracks in his house. Oui, because he has 7 people that sleep in this house.
Madame avec nous 5 timons.
Là?
Oui.
His wife, he and his wife and 5 children sleep in this part.
Throughout the island, the smell of smoke is in the air, as most people cook outdoors over charcoal. This family agreed to demonstrate how they prepare a meal. They've learned to be very efficient with their usage of water, since it is so hard to come by. They use the limes both for flavoring and to help kill bacteria and make the chicken safer to eat.
She's going to let it sit for a while, and then she's going to boil it, and then after she boils it, she'll fry it.
The father here is a carpenter, and this is a well-off family. They have a very nice cistern set up to collect rainwater. However, the dry season has been very long, and their cistern is almost empty. Without consistent rain, they will soon have to start carrying water like everyone else. Now that Kurt had determined the valves weren't the problem, he decided to try removing the air cleaners to see if the rig would run better. He found that the rig did indeed run better without the air cleaners, but considering the dusty environment they were working in, it wasn't a great idea, but was a necessity at that point. Kurt and Ariant would continue drilling by themselves until the next team of guys came down from the States. Ariant had a long history with Kurt. They had worked together over 30 years ago when Kurt and his family had lived and drilled on Gonave. They had reunited a few years back, and Ariant had been working on Kurt's crew ever since. I asked Kurt if he ever got a feeling about a well, if he ever somehow knew if he was going to hit water or not.
Oh, I get a feeling about wells all the time, and it doesn't have a thing to do with what's actually there. I had the feeling yesterday at 296 feet we would get water. I just knew it. And this dry as a bone.
You watch those last few feet of drill pipe go into the ground, and you keep your fingers crossed. You hope that you'll hit water, but too often, you don't. Then comes the task of pulling it all out again. It's tedious, it's time-consuming, and it's such a disappointment when you don't hit water.
We all realize that every time we don't get a well in a community, there's the probability that people will die without that water.
You pack it up, and then move on to the next site.
The thing that really, I think, keeps us going as a team is that next well. The elation, the emotion, the sense of satisfaction and victory that all of us feel when we hit water can't be compared to anything else, because it's the difference between life and death for a community of people. So in spite of the dangers and the challenges and the letdowns that we experience, the thought of hitting water on that next well is what keeps us going, and when we hit it, it makes it all worthwhile.
So take a piece of me.
This is as bad as the traffic would get. Rush hour, market day, in Gonave.
The Grand Sous.
right here.
Eric had some good news from the States.
I'm sending Wes back to you. So I know Kurt enjoyed having him around, so we're going to send Wes back, and that'll probably give him a little boost.
Welcome to paradise.
Wes was able to bring a large duffel bag with new air filters for the rig. I was so glad that the weather had cleared up enough that he and Derek were able to make the trip to Gonave.
The thing that impacted me most was actually seeing and smelling and hearing what people live in every day on Gonave. There's no way of capturing the massive amount of help that they need, because there's so many people that need it. Everybody needs help, and it was just everywhere that you looked.
There is an old Haitian proverb, it's in Creole, and it says, "Sac vide pas campi," and it means that an empty sack cannot stand up. People are very resourceful, so when you give them a resource like water, everything changes. And what we have seen over the years that we've been drilling is that people start growing crops at their house, even if they have to make 3 or 4 trips a day to get water to water banana trees or beans or peanuts or corn, whatever it is, they'll do it. It's not that they don't want to take care of themselves. There is such a dramatic difference between the communities where we have drilled water and we have not. And the difference is the difference between hope and hopelessness.
Well, Wes is a cowboy. You know, when we had a chance to stop, he'd whip that thing out and he'd start doing the old cowboy thing, and he'd rope one of the kids, and then laughter would just erupt.
It put a smile on their face. It brought joy. And to me, that's what it's all about, you know, is joy.
And then the older guys are wanting to come in and to do it, so he's kind of showing the older guys to do it, and of course they go, poof, and go like 3 feet and fall. That's fun.
You know, taking that rope was, it was awesome.
After a long, hard day of drilling and an exhausting 2-hour ride home, their work still isn't finished. Wes and Derek have tires to repair.
My first trip over there, we had flats, and you know, it took us like 4 hours to air up 3 tires. I mean, it was just, so when I got home, I had told some friends that you know, they needed flat fixing tools over there and stuff, and one friend said that he'd take care of it, and it was about $500. But after we got the tools, I mean, it was made life a lot easier.
That's how you fix a flat right
Took 2.5 hours just to get to where we were going, 15 miles away, sometimes less.
I don't know how to describe the ride, other than, you know, maybe somebody taking a ball bat to you and beating you.
You have narrow roads and you got to watch where you're going, otherwise you're going off a cliff. So, I mean, there is a tremendous logistical challenge, and it took it out of you. It drains you just by the time you get there. You know, we'll do that 7 days in a row, both ways, and in that heat and in the conditions that you're working in, and it makes a tremendous impact on your productivity.
The next site they would drill at was a small missionaries' compound. The missionaries had been planning on digging a 15,000-gallon cistern, which was going to be quite expensive. After meeting them on the road and hearing their story, the guys agreed to drill a well for them, which would provide water for the entire community.
When we drill a well in a community, we donate the well to the community. On the island of Gonave, there are so few jobs and there are so few opportunities to make money. I cannot justify in my heart us charging people for water. So we give it away. And hopefully that will provide some type of resource and actually help them improve the quality of their life and maybe find a way that they can generate some income for their home. All of the men working on this are volunteers. There's no overhead, there's no rent and utilities. There isn't an organization that can drill a well cheaper or faster than what we can. And the amount of work that we've been able to accomplish with the resource that we've had, I think is really incredible.
It is super exciting to hit water. This one wasn't a real gusher, but it would supply enough water to meet the community's needs, and meant that the missionaries wouldn't have to spend the money on digging the cistern. The guys put the casing pipe in the ground, piece by piece. The deepest sections have slots cut in the pipe, which allows water to seep in and be pumped out. Snyder would come back in the next few days to pour the cement base, then install the hand pump.
These men, the volunteers that we have that drill, they pay a very high price to be involved in this project. Fully aware of the risks that they are taking, that they could get injured or killed. They're investing thousands of dollars of their own money to pay for their travel expenses, their food, the equipment and the gear that they personally need. And they are taking their vacation time, not with their family, but away from their family, and drilling on the island of Gonave. It is an honor beyond measure to work with them and to serve with them in such a great cause.
It's a quarter after one and I'm all alone in a room full of people singing Sweet Home Alabama. It's a racket, but I can't say no. Between the pills and the bottle, it's always a fright. Getting horizontal daily and I'm sideways at of people singing Sweet Home Alabama. It's a racket, but I can't say no.
Poverty is a ruthless killer. The first thing that poverty does is it steals your hope. And over time, it will steal your health, and eventually it will steal your life. And it is a slow and agonizing mental and physical death that people suffer because they cannot in and of themselves break the bonds of poverty. And I know that every time we put a well in the ground that we give people hope. And certainly if you visit the communities that we've put wells in, they are flourishing much more than those who don't have it.
Lonnie and I had talked about it many times. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. I think my Haitian friend Joachim said it best. Haiti is not a poor country. Haitians are a poor people. It might seem strange, but that is exactly what gives me the most hope. There is resource in this country and on this island. There is potential, so much potential. It really is about helping to change the mindset of the people.
You know, I often think about why we do this, and it's so much more and much deeper than just bringing people water. When we drill, we're not just supplying fresh water to communities. We are supplying hope to men and women and to children that they have the opportunity, the chance, even if it's a slim chance, at a better life. And once you've given a man hope and created opportunity, it is limitless what he can
Although I may give my life to trying to help the Haitians living on Gonave, I'm very well aware that it may not be enough, but I'm still willing to do it because they need help. And once you've seen it, you just can't turn your back on that. At least I can't.
There's truly no way to describe what we see, but actually being there, actually smelling it, actually hearing it, and to know that we're over there changing that one well at a time.
Don Francisco had a song years and years ago, and there was one line in the song that has stuck with me for 30 years, and that is, "Don't make a poor man beg for bread." And I think of that over and over again, that somehow we're trying to get to the point of helping people in a way that they can take ownership, and yet trying to understand how poor they are. I haven't found the answer yet. So I kind of do it on a day-to-day basis. Lord, give me the understanding today to help people in the way that they need it the most. And I don't have to understand what that is.
The need is still there, and people need water, and we'll keep bringing it as best we can. If we drill 20 wells and none of them have water, then we'll drill 20 more. And I'm just sold out. I'm committed to it. I'll keep going as long as this old body can handle it.
People think that, oh, it's only $3 or $10, that's all I can give. Give it, because it's going to impact somebody. My hope is that people see that need and act on it, because that's the only way there's going to be change, is when action is taken.
My heart is still on the island, and I just wonder, what my friends are doing. I'd love to go back to Haiti. I'd love to drill water wells.